Hi, everyone. It's Norman Koshnak from Eyes on Cricket. I'm not going to say my name again. I had a great friend of mine from the rural areas of Australia called Bruce Hawkins who rang me up, and he's been watching the program and said, Norman, stop saying your name, because he knows who I am. Of course he knows who I am. I've known him for many years. But anyway, I'd like to join you with Preity Upala, the Pretty Effect, the Namaste Guru. That's a word. What is there a female version of the word guru?
No, it's still Guru.
Okay.
Namaste, everyone, and namaste, Norman.
So Chris is not here today. He, for one day in his life, has got another appointment, and so is Simon. So is David Graveney. They're all a bit busy, which is fine. But I'm determined to make sure that we get regular viewing for our viewers. There's so many things to talk about anyway regarding, well, a lot of discussion about India and, bouncing back and all this sort of stuff. To me, it's a little bit laughable because it's so early and they had one performance. But Shreyas Iyer was a magnificent 67. People are forgetting how well he batted.
Yes.
And even Gaurav Banker's already starting with a question on what do you think about Hardik Pandya's bowling comeback? Is he looking good? I think he is.
Yeah.
The man has got a freakish physique. He's extremely important, I think, to Indian cricket. I think they're so used to having great all-rounders that are spinners, or their minor spinners, or like the Jadeja, who's a fielder as well as a spinner. But they're forgetting that this guy, Hardik Pandya, is the real deal for the true term of all-rounder. The true term of all-rounder is someone who bats and bowls.
Cool.
The ones which are batting keepers, the ones that are fielders, and all sorts of other concoctions you can imagine. Yeah, you can call them all-rounders, but the true all-rounder is one that bats and bowls. Jack Cullis, I hate to say Shane Watson, but I will say him.
Okay.
We won't go through that. But it is interesting. I was just amused. I'm getting these phone calls from friends of mine who I'm by no means avoiding. They're great friends of mine, but this guy's a rural guy. He's totally internet not worthy. He has a Facebook site that I created with a fake name. It was fun for him. He doesn't have a clue, but he actually rang me and said, "Oh, Norman, stop saying eyes on cricket with Norman Koshnak." I said, "Well, I'm saying that because it's to make my name known."
Not everyone knows you, Norman.
Exactly.
Getting to know you.
And he got annoyed. And I said, "Bruce, but I'm actually going to do something with him because he has this ridiculous property in the country, and he also has so much cricketing memorabilia that he has paid literally hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars for, that he'll always play down." But there's a few guys, a guy called Bruce Hawkins. There's a guy called Craig Hawkins, Johnny Dunk. These three gentlemen, there's many more, that are cricket tragics. Michael Fay. These people have got more cricket memorabilia, and not just your tacky things that you collect loosely. These are authentic, overwhelmingly expensive, extremely rare things that they've got too much of, and they're a bit obsessed by it. Like Craig Hawkins has got literally, I'd say, thousands and thousands and thousands of cricket hats from Test players and what have you. It's phenomenal. He has them lying around his office. They're all over the place. Amazing guy. Really quite amazing. And then there's another guy called Andrew Leeming who owns the Bradman House and Barrel that has, oh my gosh, a 1911 classic. And have I told you about that before, Preity?
I think you have. Yeah, I'm very excited to visit something.
We'll go there one. But your mother's in Sydney. I don't think we wanted to talk about it, but your mother's in Sydney. I didn't know that.
Yeah, my mother's in Sydney. I spoke to her today. I had almost a 2-hour conversation with her, and guess what? She has seen some episodes, and she really loves the show. She is so excited. She's like 10 out of 10,
Where is she? What part of Sydney is she, roughly?
Burwood.
I know Burwood.
In the west, yeah.
In the west. That used to be the gentrified part of Sydney. Burwood, Stratfield, Ashfield. People don't recognise the suburbs so much now, but they've got incredibly huge trees, big houses.
Beautiful. Absolutely.
So back to Hardik Pandya for a minute. Gaurav Banker, yes. He's looking good. I think, look, the man's hard to put down. They've been very careful with his return. Clearly, they've got the World Cup in mind. I'm a bit annoyed with the way India played. I thought they did play rather poorly, but they're going to bounce back.
Yeah.
And Rohit Sharma, well, we'll wait and see whether he plays this match, but he'll play more. So today's purpose was to say about the bounce back factor of India and to dissect a bit about the Indian team. And obviously, Preity, you're of that background. So my thoughts to start with about the Indian team. Yes, they've got India A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, whatever. They could have probably 30 teams. They probably do very well. But what they're forgetting is every match that the team represents their country, it's got to be their best foot forward with the best team. You really can't say, oh, we're preparing for a World Cup. I rather hate that because your country, I mean, I'm just trying to picture myself playing for my country. I don't care if it's seen to be not as important a match as next week's match. You're playing for your country. It's the same every time. And when players start to appear to take things for granted or to put pressure on another game 2 weeks later, as opposed to the game they're in right at the moment, that's where the failure happens. And I mean, there are a few players in the world that truly play every game on its merits. I hate to say it. And, you know, when a batsman gets out cheaply, they think, oh, well, I was bad again next time, I'll bat better. Well, that's not the way you should be taking it.
That's true. Also for this Indian team, because India is such a because cricket is such a religion in India, and also it's such a sort of I mean, it's a very patriotic country. I think it's the most patriotic country in the world. So playing for your country means something bigger than life itself. So they do take it seriously, and it's a great honor and a privilege. You should see sometimes when they have the national anthem that's being sung, often these players get very teary-eyed. It's so beautiful to watch. I think Mohammad Siraj, he got teary-eyed when he in Australia because his father had passed away, and his father had not. Well, he's not alive to see his son play for the country. You know, in that way, it was extremely emotional, and then he ended up delivering big time. So I think the father was looking down from the heavens, but so all the players, you know, they do take it seriously, and it's like a double. It's extra if you're Indian because you've also got the weight of 1.4 billion people on your shoulder, and you want to make this incredible country proud because they really are very proud of what it has been in the world and what it continues to be. It's just an external expression, I think, of India, the state, or I wouldn't say nation state. I would want to say civilizational state because we have such an ancient sort of past.
Yeah, it's. I know there's probably no need for a player to be told you're playing for 1.5 billion people. There's probably no need to say that, but they have to understand. I'm just trying to imagine the difficulty of getting to play for your country when there were so many young, in this case, Indian boys playing in the streets of India who would idolise the fact of going anywhere near playing for their country. And the guys that do, I think they have to, and I know this might sound obvious, but I think they need to be reminded on a number of occasions who they're playing for. No matter whether they just made 3.5 million in a month the week before, they have to appreciate what they're doing. And that's where I really struggled with this rotation or policy, because if I'm told that I'm playing for the country, I'm told, oh, you've been rotated out, and I go, why? I want to play. And they go, oh, because, you play, they go to their little stat book and they say, well, you bowled 19.43 recurring hours, so for you can't do another hour. I would say, get lost. I'm sorry, I want to play now. I'll play with one leg. And that's what's missing. That's what's missing. That is really what's missing. I still think that's what's missing. And Virat Kohli's been amazing. He plays at the highest level, tries his guts out. He's an amazing player. But even he, on occasions, deep down, if he was really, really honest, forgets the fact that he's playing for his country on occasions when he takes something not for granted, almost for granted. He may not admit to that.
Yeah.
But I know when you get to that height and you've done it all, he's done it all pretty much already. Even though it's so important to take a Steve Waugh or an Alan Border attitude. They'd walk onto the pitch, their knees were bleeding or their elbows were bleeding. Or Jeff Thompson always said to me, he would just go out there and bowl. The guy was amazing. That's lost. There's no doubt it's lost. I'm sorry it is lost because there's too much money. There's too much adulation. There's too many fans running around chasing these people down on every little social media is a disaster. I mean, Ashwin's got himself his own channel. We know that. But the players that post on Instagram, they get millions of hits in seconds. Why, honestly, why do they need to do that?
Yeah, they can hire PR, social media type, social media gurus to run that for them.
But they don't even need to see it. Because if they're serious,
they don't. They shouldn't be focusing on that while they're training and stuff. They're known already. But this, by the way, is a problem for cricketers all around the world. It's not limited to India at all. And ironically, all the other countries, a lot of their fanfare, adulation comes from Indian fans, much more so than even their own countries, just because of the size and the scope, right? So now you've got Indian fans who are crazy about Australian players, and they end up getting endorsements, and their social media is huge. And if they appear on a podcast, it's a lot of Indian fans that tune in. It's very interesting. So they're also intertwined in this, so they cannot blame or point fingers at Indian players because they're benefiting a lot of this themselves, and it has been going on especially since IPL, I think. But to your point,
sorry, I was just going to say Ravi Chandra Ashwin, okay, great player, fantastic. Albeit he's a very intellectual, very intelligent man, he'll make a great commentator, a great broadcaster. We know that. Even though he's doing a very polished job, I'm very disturbed that he's doing daily reports while he's in a bubble and controlling and bringing people in. Why? Because even though others are not doing that, why is he doing it? I don't know whether it's truly something he should be doing.
Interesting. So
even though he's brilliant, there's nothing, he's very polished, he's a great role model. Why is he allowed to do it and others not?
So he does it when he's not playing.
No. Yeah, of course when he's not playing, but he's doing it very often on the same day. He's doing it daily.
Yeah. So I've listened to a lot of his episodes. He actually doesn't just talk about. He's not doing pitch reports and things like that. He talks about a lot of issues, deeper cultural issues too.
It doesn't matter. Sorry, I'm being very strong with this. I don't care if he talks about knitting. It doesn't matter what he's talking about. The reality is he shouldn't be doing that. It's very honest, because if there's any hint, even though he's not saying anything, I know he's very, very clever man. He's incredible. Okay, deserves all the accolade he's going to get in his love. He's going to be, if he's not already a legend, he's going to be a legend. But there's an underlying current that something he says, albeit minor, could set a whole lot of issues out there that, mate, I mean, not that he's mentioned the pitch or anything like that, if there's anything slight that he says, you can look at his background of his room. If he's got a tree there, that goes, oh, it's some signal. I mean, it's not, but it is probably something that they are very strict on, yet they've gone to another extreme with him.
Yeah, well, the people that he brings on are also not players that are playing in some, that day or anything like that. It's very measured. And remember, he doesn't do it in English. So if you listen to it, you have to, it's very nuanced. You'd have to be, I think as an Indian person, I don't have an issue with that, just because of the content and
I'm
maybe
the intention. I'm not against it, but I'm only against the principle of it.
I mean, it's free speech. They're allowed to speak on, and he's not in a tournament right now. This is his downtime, right? So
but you're actually, when you contractually, and I'm talking about contractually, when a player's under contract, they're not meant to be doing anything like this at all. Like even Catherine McGregor.
I'm not so sure that this is included in the contract. Like it might not be uh, you know, a facet of a contract. You'd have to see. I don't know what contracts they sign, but
But it's also
I mean, you'd have to
perception.
tune in. You'd have to watch a show to get the gist of it, and
I've
then
watched
you think very differently.
I've watched many of his shows.
Yeah, and some
But
are brilliant. I mean, the one that he did on happiness, contentment, and desperation is one of the best kind of intellectual human podcast I have ever heard. And he
no,
spoke
but please,
speaks
you're not
about his
getting
own experience, and
you're
the
not getting my
differences
point.
between. Yeah. No,
I'm
no, I
not
am, but
saying.
I'm also no, but I'm also making a point. It's important point to be made as well.
Yeah, no, I get that. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to cut you off, but all I'm trying to say is the perceptions are stronger than reality. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Even if he talks about exceptional topics as you've described, and I have watched many of his episodes, so I like them.
Mm-hmm.
But I keep thinking to myself, we've got a person who's playing in this series talking about it doesn't matter what. It's I don't know. I just find that
He's not playing in the series though.
The T20 series, no, but during the Test matches he was.
I won't comment. I don't want to say. I do think that it was not.
I don't want you to disagree with me. I don't want to disagree with you. It's not about that. It's about no one's right. No one can say they're right or wrong in this case. If you're saying contractually he's allowed to do it, well then so be it. But it's actually not about contracts. It's about perception.
Yeah. No, that I agree. I think if it was somebody more polarized, I would have a serious problem with that. Maybe he may be in just an exception, I would say. Maybe the only one in the team.
So if you had Shane Warne doing it, or Kevin Peterson doing it, or Chris Gale
very polarized, very, very polarized.
Well, they would be,
their head would be chopped off.
But I mean,
because also of the nature of their sort of assertions that they make, which half the population would disagree with them.
What about if it was Virat Kohli doing these? What?
He's got too many things on his mind. I think he needs to focus on his batting, to be honest.
Yeah, that's true. But
rather than giving,
I'm not trying to bring Ashwin down at all. But I'm not trying to bring Ashwin down at all.
Yeah.
Okay. Because that's a great future for him that he'll have with that. I just don't know how the rest of the team appreciate or not appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to get into the minds of the other players in the team that sees one individual in the team, no matter how good he is at doing it, being allowed to do it, and they can't or they won't. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's intriguing, okay? Because there's probably other people in that team who may want to do the same thing.
Well, also perhaps all players in all countries they are allowed to do something like this. Whether they want to or not is a different story. We don't know what their rules are with this particular issue, right?
Okay.
I've never heard of it.
I can assure you the Australian team, not one person's doing it in the manner that he's doing. They wouldn't even, I'm pretty sure they've been told not to do it. I can't comment for every team in the world, but I know Sri Lanka would probably have a lot of problems with it because they've got so many issues with their corruption in their country anyway.
Well, that's a different story, yeah.
Well, corruption in Sri Lanka, and I'm not fingering Sri Lanka here. Yeah. You can go through a lot of things, but Sri Lanka is a good example where things have really, really been put through the ringer. They've had a lot of people under investigation from the top to the bottom, from the players to the non-players, to the officials to the non-officials, to the God knows who. They've gone through the whole lot. And that's how rife it was. When you have the country's president or prime minister, whatever term they want to put to their leaders, is able to look at the run sheet and then change a player in a team. I mean, look, it probably happens more in other countries too. I'm not saying it's unique to one, but I have had one personal situation where I saw that happening in front of my eyes. We're at a press conference, and the then coach and the then captain and the then assistant coach were all shaking their heads in absolute disbelief when they heard the team being read out after what obviously they submitted as the team.
Yeah.
And there was someone on the team who was just not meant to be there at all.
Wow.
And the leader of the country literally said, "No, he's in." That's
very odd. That would never happen.
Well, it's disgusting. It's disgusting.
Yeah. And also, what if is he able? I mean, what if the guy's a liability? Why would you do that to your own team? You know, it's one thing if he's a superstar.
Power corrupts. And I
True.
don't mean
So,
monetary corruption, but power corruption, where they
true.
think that they can make the decision and they've got this ability. Sports ministry positions in Sri Lanka have been notoriously very strange in the way they've been done. Some have been good, some have been bad, some have been diabolical. There's been all sorts of look, but that probably happens a lot in other places as well, but not as publicised.
Yep.
But I happen to know that very well, and it's when I see a coach, a captain, a vice captain, and a assistant coach in complete anger, and I'm not going to go through the names, but if you go through my social media, you'll see me with them and pictures anyway. But the fact is, it was right in front of my eyes. I mean, they had a sheet in front of them, and they were about to. That was read out, and I go, it was like you read out their mother's name or something. It was like so out of the book.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So just to get back to finish off the Ashwin thing, I also don't know what his own plan is for his show. Perhaps it's a very short stint and it's done in a few weeks. I mean, it might not be a long drawn thing, and I mean, only he knows, right? It might have also just been a spontaneous thing. It doesn't
He's
seem
got
like
600,000 subscribers.
no, but you can get that in India overnight if you and
Sachin
there are
Tendulkar's
some
also.
channels that have picked, they've
Sachin
I
Tendulkar's got
personally know
600,000.
someone who's had 100,000 hundreds of thousands of followers that only showed up in a few weeks because of the nature of, I mean, he was doing political commentary, but out of nowhere, right? That can be, the numbers can be picked up. You don't have to rack them up for years,
Well,
but
Sachin's got 600,000 as well. Basically COVID has brought upon a lot of new YouTubers. Let's be honest, and that's
like that.
Well, exactly. I'm not taking us out of it, but and there's nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying it's a matter of if you're playing for your country. I'm just trying to picture doing what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I'm Ashwin, I'm not, but I'm doing a fair degree of volume. And I'm imagining if I was him, it would preoccupy my day, no matter how many people in the background putting up the background, it's preoccupying. An hour of talking to anyone is preoccupying. So what I'm saying is it would affect my performance. I was playing cricket.
It obviously didn't affect his.
No, clearly not. He's playing brilliantly. So
anyway, I'm gonna give it to Ashwin, and we can end this conversation. But to the other point that you raised, yes, I agree with you. I don't think that star players of any team should take for granted their spot, because especially in India we have so many young talented players coming through the national side, who go to Ranji Trophy, but other sides as well. And also a great thing that I'm seeing is now we have players who are coming from smaller towns, right? And this all really started with Dhoni, because he's from Ranchi, which is a place in Jharkhand, and that's not a metro city. And then Rishabh Pant himself is from Roorkee, which is from Uttarakhand. Actually, they're not that far from each other, but these aren't like Delhi and Mumbai. These are smaller towns.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
It's amazing to see them get this. So it doesn't matter where you come from. If you have the ability, you will get your shot, and you get to prove yourself. And if you're good enough, you will get picked. Very
Lasith Malinga, who played for Sri Lanka, was found on a beach playing with what was virtually a tennis ball.
Wow.
There's a guy playing. There's an amazing story about Pakistan where the Lahore Qalandars, the team that's like a franchise type team, literally on social media told everybody in the radius of that stadium, from the hills, the mountains, come and practice, come and train, and that's Aparna asking for the link, by the way. And they basically what was I going to say? They were asked on social media now by like literally a Facebook message or something, was there, and they were asked to come down to the hills. They had an entry to the stadium which said batter, bowler, wicketkeeper, fielder, whatever, and these people just pick which one they went through, and they went through. They were given a ball, and they're told to go out and bowl. They had a camera watching. One particular guy, and I'll remember his name, actually, it's quite an incredible story. He never had a cricket ball in his hands before in his life. He had what they call a tape ball, which is like a tennis ball with a bit of tape around it.
Right.
He was given a true cricket ball. He was handed the ball and he was told to go out and throw it, bowl it. He bowled well over 150 kilometres per hour on that delivery. And ever since then, it's been a romantic trip to Australia. He came across me with 3 other players. We helped them out. They were playing with us in very low-level local things. He got picked up by a state team, a big bash team. Now he's playing for his country, or at least he's in the squad playing for his country. It's an amazing story, isn't it? But you've got to give it to Pakistan for doing that, by just getting this randomness to what they did.
Great.
And the same happened with Lassie Malinga, and I'm guessing that it's happening in India as well.
Oh, for sure. We played. There's something called you know about gully cricket, right? I mean,
Yes,
every young kid grows up playing gully cricket. That's why they can adapt to. I mean, if you can play in a gully, trust me. And so when this talk about pitch comes up, it's laughable because these guys are used to something called gully cricket. So it's just kind of so ironic that there's so much talk about it. And
it's wonderful.
yeah. And then remember the Afghanistan team. They they trained in India sometimes too, but they put together a team. I think it's remarkable. In the World Cup, they were really everybody was rooting for them, and
exactly.
Amazing.
Talking about amazing.
Talking about amazing. Well, India definitely did not play amazing.
I'm going to put. Hang on. I'm going to do a bit of movement here. I'm going to be in the middle here.
Nice.
Aww.
Hi, Aparna.
Hi, how are you?
Very good.
It's good to have Aparna. And look, I was talking earlier about the future of, or privately and socially, the actual future of what we're doing with this channel and the development of that. I've started to dabble with membership, which people have been very interested in doing, with also a store relationship where we'll bring shirts and things into play, which I'm going to need. I've got one at the moment. There's Adam Holliak with his bat thrown in the air. Have you seen that photo? That is such a funny photo. He looks like a goose. His bat's up in the air, and in the background is Michael Bevan, a famous Australian player, in shock. It's a great photo. I don't know the history of that photo, but it's great. Well, what I'm trying to do, it's not about making money at all. It's about giving people opportunities, both us as guests and viewers, guests and commentators, or whatever you want to call it, us, what we're doing, the ability to make the time spending here worthwhile, and more importantly, also making it worthwhile for the viewers. Now, we have so many viewers that try to get onto the chat lines, which we've got now. We've got Sarun KS, who's been making comments about Preity. He's very proud of you. We've got other people there, like Official Sai. He's saying lots of great comments. So these people are great. They're loyal, and I like to reward them. Maybe it might be a cost on occasions, but the cost is there to try and prohibit someone who doesn't deserve it in some ways. But we're going to reward people with more intimacy to the chats, more video content, ones where they can. And ultimately, when I go to India, and which I will, and Aparna's going to go to India, and Preety's going to India.
Yes. We're
going to go as an entourage of people that'll be at events such as the IPL, hopefully this year, depending on COVID lets us, the World Cups, major tournaments, the World Test Championships, various events around the world. There's events that occur in Monaco, in obviously Europe. In Monaco, they have the laureates. All these are events that I want to get involved with. Crystal Arnold, someone I know very well from South Africa, who represents her country. And they have the elite people like your Tendulkars or your Roger Federers or whomever. But what I want to do is be able to say, when we're in India, we'd like to be able to have a dinner with a family. And what's great about that is they host us. They get the experience of being with us. We get the experience of being with them. That'll be invaluable for me or for anyone. And the richness of the stories will be told. Like Nalakshi Sharma, who was a cricketer. Nalakshi Sharma, she's telling me more about how she engaged with this whole thing, and I feel very special to be able to allow her to be on our channel. It's like a dream for her to be on the channel.
Amazing.
That's lovely.
It touches me when I know that deep down that girl is sitting there thinking, oh my God, what sort of opportunity is this?
Yes.
And I hope to make that more clear. And I'm going to invite a lot more people, not straight away, it's clearly when it's possible, that are notable. and I know that Aparna wants to meet up with his sister, Ganguly. It's going to happen. It's
Oh,
going to happen.
she's a diehard fan.
Well, I mean,
she
it's going to
celebrates her
happen.
birthday. I mean, it's like,
Well, I mean, Debash's thing is, when I went to Kolkata, when was it, for the first time, whatever amount of years ago, I arrived at the airport. If these things seem to happen to me, I arrive at the airport, I get taken by Kuntal, one of the guys. He meets me. We've got Debash's waiting me at the Eden Gardens. I walk in the door, and there's Ganguly with his hand out, shaking my hand. I'm thinking, oh my God, how did this happen? It's because of
yeah,
these people.
well, I think, when my sister really wants, she can find a way to go and meet him.
Yeah.
But it's more of a fact that, like Bollywood movies, I'll bump into him, like Norman said, and then it's like, wow, because that feeling you won't get if you go and plan it all and just go and meet someone. That's different. But
Yeah.
Norman, you would have diehard fans like that. Come on, you've been doing good.
But the thing is, I've had that experience happen to me, and I'm a cricket aficionado. I love my cricket. I'm into it big time. But it was very special for me. So I can just imagine how special it is for other people. And if I can connect that to happen, we had the girls on the show the other day where they were all talking. They said they met each other through me. That moment makes me happier than any other moment. To know that there are two people there that met because of me. That's fulfilled my dream, because you understand what I mean. I mean, even you two girls meeting, you probably would never have met in a million years. And
we still haven't in person, but I'm sure that will happen soon.
yeah, but I mean, like, for example, Shapali meets Winifred. That was a big deal of Winifred, for example. And it was I feel great about that, and it's very, very special. And it's a thing that I love connection, and I think that's what life should be all about. When you least expect it. So we're getting comments about Kohli's captaincy being really bad. I don't think it's his captaincy's bad at all.
Yeah.
No, complete rubbish.
I think it's
the reality
definitely
is
pressure on him.
Too
much pressure.
He's enormously pressured.
I think with Kohli, it's right now we need a good captain. We don't need a star batsman, and that he's playing out that role. At times, he's played both roles.
Yep,
Yeah,
totally.
he should do both. I mean, that's the role of a captain.
Of course, it's not easy though. But yeah.
Yeah, but because of the batting lineup has been shaking. Even when they came to Australia and they're playing 3 different formats, the most criticized was their batting lineup. It wasn't stable even in the test matches.
The bowling has
ODIs.
come through. Yeah.
So, in that sort of situation, when Virat Kohli wasn't there, so you couldn't blame him on that. And someone like Ajinkya Rahane coming in, taking that position, he did great for someone who has that experience. But coming back to now, Virat Kohli's back, he's expected to perform and contribute for the batting lineup. I mean, 124 runs, that wasn't much of a bigger score for T20 format to be chased. So that's really puts them in a spot where what are the chances of you winning halfway match? So I think it's pretty predictable that it's very hard for India to come back from there on. So that's why batting lineup and Virat Kohli performing has definitely something to do with it, I would say.
People are not talking about Shreyas Iyer as much. He scored 67.
We should.
He shocks me. He has been going under he plays well for the Delhi Capitals. He plays with Rishabh Pant. They must be an awesome pairing. Clearly, that's why they've got them together. And when you realise that those two players are batting together because they've got history with Delhi Capitals, it's quite impressive. That's why I actually think Delhi Capitals will win the IPL, because of those two, because they've got a great combination right, and they understand each other. But Virat Kohli has played so well for so long.
Yeah.
If he kept that trajectory, he would smash Tendulkar's records in a few years and be the best ever by a squillion miles. You can't sustain that. You have to have a bad period, a down period. Greg Chappell, who captained Australia, I think he got 7 ducks in a row. Now, most teams, when a batsman gets 7 ducks in a row, he's dropped. Okay? But they persisted with him. And there's a guy called Neil Harvey, who I know is 92, 93, who was one of the selectors. And I can sit with Neil and have a Black Forest cake at 92, and you listen to him, and it's riveting. He says, Norman, when I selected a side, they were selected until they were not selected. That means
Mhm.
they were in the side through thick and thin, through a complete series. You didn't drop them. You didn't react to a bad performance, a bad shot. You kept them going. And that allowed that player to have a downside, but also come through and have a good side. That's what I think is missing at the moment. And that's because we've got all this interchange of players and COVID and rotation.
Yeah.
The player has a slight off period, they get taken out, literally.
Yeah, I mean, it's life. They have an off day too. Shreyas Iyer, they have been speaking about him for a long time. I've been hearing his name. Some people even think he may be a future leader. He's like Rishabh Pant. He's one of those leadership material type people. So, young guy, he has a lot of years left to hone his game. But I see great things from him. I'm so proud that this is such a young team, because we've had we've had incredible Indian teams who were in their 30s and so on, or late 20s, but there's so many young players. It's a very young team in a way, and obviously some experienced players. It's a nice mix up.
Yeah,
There's a question
IS
about
67 took India to IS Shreyas Iyer 67 runs took us to 124. Otherwise, I don't know. Could have
Can
been
you
all out
imagine?
for
Yeah.
100.
But Rishabh Pant could so easily have not been caught on the boundary, and he would have
Yeah.
went on to get 50 or 60 as well.
True.
And we forget that. Those
Well,
two
lot
And
of
it's
together.
T20 is very different. It's not like test, T20, come on, it's 20 overs is nothing. Things happen. You gotta, many people don't even treat T20 as even a game. So it is what it is. It's a tamasha, right? It's just, it's a kind of that sort of experience. To take it for what it is. But yes, I mean, these people should
Actually,
really step up. Don't go out cheaply.
I think it's a good format because coming from test, when you play in T20 sort of format, you've got limited overs, obviously, to show what you got. And
Yeah.
I think that's the pressure. If you can put up that sort of a pressure, you've got 5 days or 4, that sort of a test match or ODI where you've got 50 overs. So you can obviously come good. I should have been other way around. What if T20 would have come before in the first? It's like a warm up. When you do warm up, like I used to play
Yeah.
tennis, you do warm up sort of a thing.
Yeah.
You judge from 20 overs, and then you know what you're going to do. And coming from, they've already played test with that same team. Performing like that in T20, I really don't understand where they're coming from and what was the mentality. What changed? Definitely.
It's very, very true. But it's funny. If you know the nuances of a T20 match, even though you think it's hit sixes from ball one, off you go, surprisingly, some batsmen still block, defend, and build. What I'm saying is that's actually not a bad thing. If your first 3 balls are really good balls, then don't play a stupid shot, block them, because you can then capitalise the next over with a series of sixes or fours. Darwan's shot, for example, was a really bad shot, and it was a ball that he probably shouldn't have hit. There was no need to do that. Kohli's shot was probably not a good shot either, and Rahul's. The top 3 batters got out to very poor shots, and in all 3 cases, they probably could have done that differently with that delivery. So it is interesting. Like some batsmen will just take. Yeah.
It's judgment, Norman. It's judgment on the basis because see, usually you would judge a ball anyway in cricket, whether you want to play what sort of shot. But in T20, you have to also judge that how many wickets are left, how many overs are left, because you can't just stand there all day as well. Trying to, that's another layer of judgment comes in, and that's why there's sort of a pressure.
It's a crunch time as well. You only have so many balls, and you got to put up a good fight. T20 is obviously it's great for fast bowlers depending on the pitch too. So England has some great fast bowlers, right? They were able to come in and make the most of it and get the job done. So, but I think India will bounce
views out there. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, there's a lot more views out there for T20. I mean, if you see the younger generation is watching T20 as compared to the ODIs. I mean, ODIs is still in, but test matches, that's very original. I personally like test matches because there's a lot to learn when you are playing or you're watching a test match. But T20, more views, more fan following. If you really want to get out there in your career in cricket, that's the goal. And the World Cup is coming up, so this is the last chance they're going to get before they actually hit the big global tournament. and this sort of a thing coming up, it wasn't exciting for the audience as well. I don't know. I think they have to come back. I hope they do. If they lose the second one, which I can slightly see, 60% there are chances that they might as well. But that would be a bit disappointing for the Indian fans out there. Yes, Tom.
It's interesting with the World Cup. There's even another layer of expectation on India. It's at home. The last so many World Cups have gone in the favour of the local team. Australia, England, and India. They've all, and West Indies on one occasion, they've all gone to home sides. So the expectation has gone through the roof. They're going to, and that's why I even think they're feeling pressure now on that, because they know the microscope's on them now, because the World Cup's literally only so many games away at home.
Yeah.
And that is enormous pressure, because if India don't win the World Cup at home, that's unacceptable almost.
Yeah, and last time they won the World Cup was in India. They did win it at
Exactly.
home. Yeah.
Exactly.
If
But
they
they've got
don't, oh my God, they need extra security, I guess.
I know. I think I know I get a good feeling about it, but you never know. I mean, there's a lot can happen. There'll be new players coming in, and we'll see captaincy. Will there be any changes?
Yeah, but I can
Well,
definitely
but
say
there's-
India might win the World Cup. I hope.
I'm going to be curious to when Rohit Sharma plays, which he's unlikely to play the next match, but then the last three he's expected to play. I think Aparna was shocked by that decision yesterday. I'm totally miffed. I'm miffed. I don't understand this. It's not a long game. He didn't need to be rested for this game, I don't think. I would argue he could have been rested for the ODIs, because they're less significant on the world scale for this year. So I think that they probably made a mistake not having him in the side, I'm afraid.
They're taking it lightly normally.
Well,
I have a feeling honestly, I think this T20, these games, it's a breather. It's a little break, because they've had they've had two intense series, and now the ODI is going to be very intense, and I mean, ODI is
that's
ODI.
the commitment. If you want to own that jersey, if you want to own that position, I'm sure there's lots of out there who would like that position.
Yeah.
Just retire.
That's totally right.
That sort of a.
Sure.
Yeah. Can you hear us, Aparna? Can you hear us?
Hello?
Yep, I can hear you.
Yeah.
All right. The reality is that Aparna's really absolutely on the ball. The reality is that you playing for your country, even for one game, whether it's your 10th or your first or your 100th, it's like gold.
Yeah.
And you have to play over your skin. Yes, there's pressure on you, but it's an expectation. You're playing for your country.
Especially in India, when there's so many probably better younger players who deserve to have the spot that you do. In this case, I can see it already. I have a feeling they'll bounce back, and I think they'll end up winning 3-2. That was my prediction. I'm gonna hang on to that.
Despite the fact that Chris Vernon was unavailable, he's just posted a comment about the T20 World Cup is a lot different to a 50-over World Cup. We know that, Chris. Either you're going to come on air or you're not. It's nice of you to comment, but we'd like you to be on air if you're going to be there.
So is he saying, like me? Is he saying that he values ODI more? I guess that's his point.
No, I don't. They're very different games.
Yeah.
Because the 50-over match, you can literally, go for singles for a period of time. There's a lull. You time the match. There's a lot more strategy, and 50 overs is quite a long time, because a test innings can be 100 overs, or more, but a 50 overs in a test match is a long time. So in a one-day match is bloody long too, and it's a different bowlers bowl for 10 overs, which is a distinct number of overs. That's not you can't be half fit doing 10 overs. 4 overs you can kind of get away with it. You can survive it. I'm sorry, that's what happened with Archer. He was in the field constantly touching his elbow throughout the whole, even though he bowled 4 overs and bowled quite well.
Yes.
He was constantly, he wouldn't return balls from the boundary. So hang on a minute. Why are you on the field if you can't throw a ball back from the boundary if you've got there's something not right there. You know what I mean? It disturbs me a bit, because if they're true to their name about high performance and rotation, but then they do the complete opposite with a guy, put him on the field, well, what are they doing? I don't mind a player being injured and playing, because some of the best players in the world have done it, but you can't have both. You got to make up your mind what you're doing, you know, and that annoys me. But okay, so Preity, till India wins 2007 World Cup, it was good format, and now it's Tamasha. Okay, what the person's trying to say is that the striving of India to win a World Cup was big ever since the time when '82, when they won previously, it was a long time between drinks. And when they won that, there was an element of relief and excitement, and now an expectation to keep winning. I've been to quite a few World Cups, in particular the one between New Zealand and England. I was on the boundary rope. A guy had a heart attack next to me with about 5 overs to go. And there were ambulances everywhere, and they were dealing with, he was an Indian fellow actually, and it was disturbing, and people were just, it was probably English but Indian background, but you know, England had their hearts in their mouth. It was probably the most dramatic game of cricket I have ever seen, because it was a tie in the end. It was just in a World Cup final. Oh my God. It was the most dramatic game I've ever seen. I was privileged to be there, and you know, it was.
So my comment to the person who made that comment is, hey, tamasha is not a bad thing. It's fine, bring it on, but you know, give us the best tamasha that you can, not some sort of half-ass one.
I mean, I've been very fortunate to be able to a lot of cricket matches live, and been amongst people who are critical to the match, and the tensions are enormous, and the most incredible coaches in the world have been people who are at their calmest, and that's an easy thing to say. Calmness at that moment is incredible. Level-headedness, to make a decision on the spot, which is like the time that in the semi-final where I was there, when South Africa absolutely fell apart, and when one person ran to the other end, the other person was standing looking at each other, and the Australian guy, I think it was Damien Fleming, as opposed to throw the ball in the air, he rolled it, which meant that the batsman had every chance of beating that ball back, but he was so stunned he froze. It was the most calamitous thing I've ever seen. It was mental disintegration of the worst kind. It was ugly, and they got knocked out when they should have beaten them easily, and that mentally screwed them. And literally every person that side, until they left that side, that team could not recover from that. Pretty serious. I mean, Michael Vaughan, who was the captain of England when they eventually won the 2005 Ashes series in England, when he became captain, and the likes of David Graveney, who we know very well, selected him, what actually happened was Michael Vaughan sat down with Duncan Fletcher, the coach, and said, right, every single player that's played when we've been thrashed by Australia has to be dropped, replaced completely. And he wouldn't rest until they all were dropped. And he was absolutely right, because the players came in fresh-minded, and they had a killer attitude. The first delivery when Australia played them in that series, the ball went to someone in the field. This was a practice match. The entire fielding side ran up to that player with this venomous look, this I'm going to kill you attitude. And it was a sign that they were not going to take any rubbish. And it's true. If you've been hit by a team and you're down and out, it's rare that you can forget that. And it's just interesting how that happens. And yeah, it's very interesting. And even India, you would argue, are pretty much players that are fairly new in terms of the era when India didn't do well. That's what I'm saying.
Yes, they don't have the memory. They don't have any memory of defeat. That's what I see.
Well,
there's
even
no
in Australia, oh my God, and Aparna saw it firsthand. They just had blokes who were bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. They came in and just said, we're going to win this. Like Punt and Washington Sundar. The most impacting person and anyone in those talks with all the streets, the name that came up every single time was Punt, obviously, but also Washington Sundar.
Yes.
And his attitude that he had when he played his first match. He got 60, I took 3 or 4 wickets, whatever he did. He nailed it. All the young people in Australia were looking up to Washington Sundar. Yeah. And it wasn't because they could pronounce his name. It was nothing to do with that.
Even Indian fans out there was, when I was doing a lot of interviews for ABP, Sports Talk, like fans' reactions, and they would be like, one of the match, I think he didn't even perform very well, and they were still taking his name. I was like, oh, good, huh? So that's the impact,
I
that
love it.
plays there. One time that Hardik Pandya, because of him, they won that one of that match, and then it was like Iyer, Shreyas Iyer, and he hasn't even played that much. So one match can really make it. Even when there was T20 here in Australia, and because the actual World Cup got postponed because of COVID, and everyone had the high hopes and the eyes was all on, who's gonna win the World Cup. So I was quite disheartening. So they really treated this um, T20 series between India and Australia here at Canberra and SCJ. Their reactions were like, "This is our World Cup,"
Yes.
and like, "Oh, this is our World Cup." I think I even tweeted saying, "This is our World Cup, 2020." So make something out of 2020, and they so did. So when it comes to 2021, when the World Cup is so near, I don't expect that sort of attitude, you might want to call it, or chill back, relaxed um, confidence level. Or I think it's very disheartening for the fans to watch something like that.
Yeah, look, it's something of great interest to me is what's going on there. We're going to be looking back in many years' time at some of the players we're seeing now. One in particular, Rishabh Pant. He's something you're seeing not Tendulkar, like a Gilchrist style player, although he shouldn't be compared to Gilchrist. He's got this ability, and the shots he's playing, the audacity of the shots, and that guy's got a lot of ability. It's exciting. It's extremely exciting. Really is. I mean, Akshar Patel, he has been around a little bit longer than we know. He did play 5 years ago in the World Cup, but he's another one. But there's just such an exciting. And Siraj, oh my God, what a great heart. He would do anything to play for his country. I want to see more of the other players have that attitude.
Yeah,
I really do. And I'm not fingering names like Shikhar Dhawan or whatever, but he's played a lot of cricket. He's done everything, and he's done really well. But that edge is probably, I'm sorry, the edge is still not there. I reckon there's a bit of an edge missing. And he'd have to admit that to himself.
Yeah. I've always said about Pant is the future captain. I really see that, because you should listen to his stump mic when oh my God, this guy is really good at getting people's morale up. And every ball, he's got something to say. I mean, most wicket keepers are like that, but Rishabh is very funny. He's, I don't know, he's hilarious to hear. And people really, the ballers respond to him. Absolutely. And they end up doing really well. The fielders do too.
The funniest one was, how about the one, Aparna, with Tim Payne? They said, let's see you together, mate. And that
Tim Payne needs to just, focus on, keep his mouth shut and just focus on the batting,
He's awful at his banter. He's awful. It's really meaningless. It doesn't have any impact. He's not a good stirrer at all.
Yeah.
I don't think.
But remember how he even came into that position? That was Sandpaper Gate, right? He was the best that was available, and I think he did a great job to take that leadership at the time when his team needed it. I give him full credit for that, full marks for that. Really good.
He's a great person. He's got a great personality.
Fantastic.
And he's a great keeper. And he had a very bad period.
Open the door, I'm outside. Sorry, that was important as well. Let me in. Someone, Rishikesh Patil, Norman, open the door. I'm outside your house. Let me in.
What?
Look in the comments.
Is this a prank?
Be important. No, I don't know.
It must be a prank. It must be a prank. I mean,
do you know a Rishikesh?
I thought maybe someone. That's why I wanted to let you know if you want to go open the door quickly.
There's one comment being made.
Hilarious.
Who was it?
I don't think there's anybody at your door, Norman.
No, on my door, no way.
How do they know your house?
Good question.
Stalking. That's what stalking is.
They're stalking you, Norman.
I have seen some very bad examples of people stalking.
I don't know if I want to be jealous about that. I mean,
I've been stalked.
No, I mean,
yeah,
look,
but from this platform, I mean, we all sharing it together, and you're the first person who gets stalked from a group.
Well, they're not going to come all the way to Los Angeles. It's a bit of a hike, so.
There's definitely people watching out there as well. I wonder.
Let me tell you a bit of story about Shapali. We're a Cody. Shapali, who's a very, very nice girl, quite innocent, the word gullible is wrong, but she believes in people before she doesn't. There was a guy that befriended her that I didn't know about. He was on LinkedIn. He had a profile saying he had a big consultancy business.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm warning people out there about this. He had a fair income LinkedIn page, and I was suspicious. I looked at it. Every photo was one of those off-the-shelf photos of a person. He claimed them to be working for them. One was his daughter, he said. And I thought, oh, this looks a bit weird. So I looked at his email address. It was a hotmail.com address, which is not a bad address, but you don't use it when you're a consultant. You have a proper email address. So and he had his mobile number, which is weird. And I went and dug further. The whole company was a complete fraud. The entire website was a fraud. And Shripali believed everything she saw. And she actually met him without me knowing him in Australia. And I saw a photo on somehow I came across him, somehow I came across his social media. He had a photo of Nalakshi de Silva coming out of a dressing room. Another one, it was shot through a window in the dressing room on his Facebook page. Anyway, the end result was I worked at something that's really fishy. And he had actually come to the SCG when I was out in the field playing a game and the girls were there. He had the audacity to do that. The man ended up being a huge problem. Wow. I went to the police. They couldn't touch him at that moment because he hadn't done anything truly illegal, but very scary. And he infiltrated that far through some what appeared clever, yet were very fake situations. So, yeah, it was I know what you mean when it comes to stalk like that. That's extremely dangerous. This man knew everything about what she was doing. It happens more often. And he was a 60-year-old man. He appeared respectable, but imagine if the person would go to the full extent of creating a website that was fake. Yeah, that's when you worry. It's the most dangerous person. A bit like that Edelstein guy. Was it Edelstein? What's his name? Epstein,
yeah. The whole thing was a charade.
Oh my God. Incredible. So there's talk about Garrett Bankers, Tommy Rowan is the best captain in T20. I would agree.
Yes.
He's proven it with Mumbai Indians by 100 miles. Yep, I would agree with that.
Rohit Sharma is the best captain that India has never had.
Great comment. I like the way you said that. That makes a lot of sense.
There's a very famous astrologer who said...
I think they would never have him anyway.
No, there's a very famous astrologer who said that as long as Kohli is the captain, India will never win a World Cup. Because his stars are not aligned for World Cup. His stars are aligned for his amazing... he will cross all break all the records, but as far as team goes, it ain't happening. So maybe you want to take that advice and make Rohit the captain for the World Cup and have Virat in the team and ask him to make his tons. That would be my strategy, and I think they would.
That is exactly right.
I think see him doing captaincy, and this would be his last World Cup that he would be doing the captaincy.
It's very
I'd push for Rohit.
Yeah, there's something.
Actually, Rohit and Pant, to be honest. Vice captain Pant, maybe.
I think Pant can, but he's just too new and too quick, too soon. But Rohit, no, I don't think so. I don't know. I've got the feeling.
Just for the stars, not for captaincy as such, but I just think he's got better.
I hope they're listening.
Well, the reality is, it's probably in the scheme of things, you would argue it's too late to take Kohli out of captaincy for the World Cup. Why? Because it would probably destabilise more than it would help, even though it may be the right decision. You would have camps which would believe it and not believe it. You're going to have to stick by him until the World Cup for sure, even though it may prove to be their downfall. He's an amazing batter, and if he was free to the captaincy and just told to go out and bat, he would be making even more runs than he could have imagined him doing. But then again, you might argue that some of the runs he came because he was leading the team as well. So, it's a bit of a catch-22, but I think now he needs to relinquish the captaincy?
There is slight chances, Norman. 20% chances are that he might not be the captain for the World Cup because there's been a lot of talk, especially from this T20 series, and it's a long series to go. So we have to wait and watch. If he doesn't come back and perform, because his performance has been impacted, a lot of talks going on already about his captaincy, and is it too much pressure? Because he's a great batsman, and we need great batsmen like that to be performing. So if he is under some sort of pressure, obviously, it's not disrespect or anything like that. I mean, maybe he need a break. He needs rest of captaincy.
You have a problem though, because you've got these 5 T20 matches. Forget the ODIs; it's not relevant. These 5 T20s, one's already gone. There's 4 left. I don't know exactly, but between now and the World Cup, there's going to be very few that will be done. For him not to be captain, realistically, this would have been the series to change. And anything beyond that, with only a handful of matches to go, is honestly too late in preparation for a new captain.
Too late, Norman. They're not. They're not showing their cards out. I think India has always done that. If you see very spontaneous, this would be the first time they would come out with something that's their ace, and that would make the team win. So I think every country has those. I can see that could be an ace, but I think they've got more aces than that as we speak. There's a lot of young talent out there.
I was talking about the ODI World Cup. I was not talking about the T20 World
T20,
Cup. Yeah, for me, I mean, I just don't value it that much, So ODI World Cup is the World Cup. It's the official World Cup. That is the big kahuna, right? So
that is true.
If India doesn't win the T20 World Cup, honestly, it's fine. We'll move on. If it doesn't win the ODI World Cup in a few years' time, which is again happening at home in India, and I'm sure the stadium will be the host. Talk of that, then you need the security, And
T20 you definitely need the security because of T20 overs in the IPL craze. I mean, BBL came in Australia later. IPL started very long than that. So that just shows what cricket fan craze is. And T20, I can guarantee, if you really see, because it's a short format game, people are busy, they don't have that much time, because of which it has gained popularity in this 21st century. And more people viewing it, personally, I think that they would need the security for T20, definitely.
The thing with T20 cricket, a team like Pakistan or the West Indies could come out of the blue and win it.
Yeah,
and have a remarkable sort of games. And they could play an amazing game. Gal could go nuts, or the young Pakistani bowlers could go nuts. It is a bit of a toss-up. You're right. The ODI is a little bit more sophisticated. You're right. No, I agree with that.
The best team wins. The best team in the world usually wins the ODI World Cup.
That's a fair point. Although, do you think New Zealand should have won the last time they played?
My opinion, yes.
Yeah,
to be honest, if I can be honest, India should have won that. But they screwed. I mean, unfortunate rain the next day. It just did not work for them. They were on a roll though, because they were at the top of the leaderboard pretty much throughout the competition. Everyone, even Brian Lara, was like, "I'm going to put my money on India." Pretty much everyone thought India was going to win, but it's so unfortunate. It just wasn't their destiny. I think New Zealand was supposed to go through. I think it was their thing.
There's a thing about this.
I've got a fact. Globally, T20 cricket is the most famous, popular format with 92%, and second closest is the ODI with 88%. So they definitely need security. 1.3 billion population, people with 92% popularity level as compared to ODI. I think they would be able to play ODI if they survive in T20.
Okay. Chris Vernon, who's making lots of...
Let's talk about the next match. What do you think? Any changes from your Preity? Do you see any changes in Indian team?
I don't think
they have to. I mean, what's the nature of the pitch? Mix it up. Come on, this is their time to do it. I really think they should go in with 3 spinners.
India. Yeah, they won't change much because they're kind of committed with Rohit being out for the first 2. It's like a 2-game decision. The team's almost been picked for 2 games, and that's a fair point. I mean, I can't imagine that Rahul and Dhawan will do as badly next time. And Chris made it pretty clear, I think it was out last night, the night before, that those two have got the best batting averages out of any opening pair in the whole IPL. That's a big statement. But they haven't played much lately. They've been very out of play. Rahul's he played a bit in Australia, but he hasn't played much since. So it's very hard to go into a game and be great. Look at Bairstow. He played horribly in the test match, but he played okay last night.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah.
Yeah, and they've got that Dawood Milan. I've had personal involvement with him. He was at Middlesex, where the Sydney SCG11 went through there. We had a lot of time with him. What a magnificent guy. I must say, personality of a person can really win you over, because if the person's together and they've got time and they're friendly and they're normal, they're generally good players. I hate to say it. I mean, Dave Warner's probably the exception. He's quite difficult to deal with, but he's a good player. But normally,
you're so funny. You don't like Dave Warner much.
Oh, I mean, he knows me, and on occasions he's been very friendly. Now I was with the cricketers at a gym once. He acted like he didn't know me, and I said, "Mate, what is this? What are you doing? What is it? What are you acting like that for?"
That's not good.
It was weird. It was very weird. It was very unnecessary. There was no need to be. You don't have to be overly talkative. Just be normal.
I mean, Shane Warne is another one. He's amazing, but he's a character, though. You know.
Yeah, but he is who he is.
But he's a good guy.
Shane doesn't change. I'll tell you. He's just him, which is kind of a good thing. At least he's not two-faced. Sometimes people can be. Sometimes people can be very nice at your face and be a rat behind your back, or vice versa. They're worse than someone who's just a bit of a pain all the time.
I mean, look at Dravid, Ganguly, Sachin, Dhoni. These people are such incredible human beings. Dhoni, right? Such a humble, and look at their incredible playing off the amazing. You know.
He jumped the fence. I told him in the training center. Came over to my mother and sat with her. And I was blown away by that. I think the guy's a rock star. He's an amazing fella.
Yeah.
Little Debashis knows them all very well. They all know Debashis. You can't. Debashis is funny. He was once in a photograph with who's the famous runner who won 100 meters for Jamaica? Bolt. The photo with Bolt. I think Debashis reached his knees. Jokingly, he was so tall. It was sort of hilarious. And they were a great photo. Yeah. All right, guys. With an hour and 7 minutes has gone like that.
What about you, Norman? Come on, predict India winning or what?
I think there's no doubt that India will come back. I think that India will bat better. The toss, I'm afraid, will help India. If India win the toss and bowl first, could be, if they win the toss and bowl first, they're going to win. It's my impression. I think Kohli's going to be quite upset. He'll do a lot better. But I think I'm more excited about the third match when Rohit Sharma comes back. I think
that's not definite, though, is it?
Sorry?
Is it definite that he's playing?
I think he's coming back.
He's been rested for 2 games. There's no doubt he's in the third.
It's a couple of games. It wasn't too many specifically. That's what
so he'll not play. He'll not play tomorrow night, but he's been rested. I think it's going to be a lot closer. Boy, it's hard to pick. India have to win to make this. I think they're going to have to win. It'll be pretty hard for them, any side, to come back from 2-0 down. I mean, Australia tried to in the recent series against New Zealand. They came back from 2-0 to 2-2, but they lost the third match anyway. So I think India need to win this.
What changes?
What?
Batting in the batting lineup, or what changes?
No changes.
No changes at all.
No.
Oh. Well, I think
the only possibility is Shardul might come in for one of the spinners.
Yeah, well, I think England, they both fast bowlers, and I'm expecting that India should play Chahal and Kuldeep.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see that.
That would be something that I can see that happening, but I'm not sure. And also, if you look at the match where India really lost, you can't blame the toss or anything, or even the pitch was actually favorable for batting for the batters. So the score was so low. So even they have to do some changes in the batting lineup as well, and definitely to both their fast bowlers, because they both fast bowlers. So that sort of changes. Let's see. And obviously excited for Rohit Sharma to come in the match and the match after. And that would be
Gareth Bank is saying Bank is saying Colliff's not in the squad. I'm actually not sure whether he's in the squad. Is he in the squad? I don't know whether he is.
He's not yet.
No.
No,
So he won't be
he's not.
coming.
That's what I said. But that's what I'm saying. That man. But if they played there, that's where my perspective was. He's not in the.
I feel sorry for him, actually. He's been given a real strange old run.
He got the cold shoulder.
Yeah. I mean, we had an experience at the Nets over at Drummoyne Oval. We were 2 foot from him. We probably shouldn't talk about that.
No.
We can't talk. We would love to talk about it, but we can't talk.
Yeah.
Probably not the place to be talking about.
No.
But he's
a nice guy. He's a good player, great player.
Oh, he's a great player.
Young talent, and he should definitely be given a chance. He's actually played very well in the lower level under
The World Cup.
India A team, which happened in Drummoyne Oval here in Sydney, and definitely I thought he would got a chance. Definitely see these sort of people coming up for this World Cup. Not sure, but they are definitely sort of a people that would be covering up. Might be an ODI World Cup or next T20. They've got a lot of talent out there.
That's true. Gee, this has been a good conversation, guys. I'm very impressed.
By the way, a message for Chris. I can't believe this is preposterous. He was saying that this might be Washington and Aksar's last game that they'll ever play. He was harping on about that, and I was like, "What are you smoking, dude?" And I also predicted Aksar will be tried in different formats and so on. This is a person with a career ahead of him, and Washington, hello, he's 21. Hello, has a whole career ahead of him.
Oh, Washington's not going away. He could well be in it as a batter in the end. He could well be
again leadership material as well. So yeah,
amazing kid, actually, beautifully spoken. Not that.
Did you heard it, Chris?
Well, Chris, I thought Chris was busy. He should be coming on air.
Yeah,
comment from him in the chat.
He has the time to obviously watch the whole thing live and comment. Regularly. It's so funny.
Yeah, he's certainly funny.
He's great. He's
I'm trying to see whether
he brings that little bit of a twist. Yesterday we were on and he was like, "Oh my god, that really pushed me back." It's like, "I want to be on Aparna's channel, Cricket Conversation," and Norman said, "You're on right now." I mean, this is again on 4Rs. This is live streaming on. If you're watching through Eyes on Cricket with Norman Conversation, Cricket Conversation with Aparna Saini. On that note, he's like, "No, an exclusive one." I'm like, okay, well, hang on. We were having arguments about India and England, and then he's like, "Oh my god, your show." I'm like, okay, that's good. So he's that sort of a person, very unpredictable, but I like that, spontaneous. That's what players are, cricket players.
So
he's definitely watching this one, I'm pretty sure, because he did comment a few times. But what happened I didn't get that with Preity and what was that about?
No, he kept saying that Washington and Aksar will never play again. That was their going to be their last game. Hello. They're just getting started, I think. And I said no.
Well, he wanted Ashwin retiring as well,
The same thing as well. Although I think 5 years is way too. Honestly, 3 years from now, Ashwin will not be playing. I think the max is 3. He himself, in his podcast, he actually talks about that body can only handle so much. 3 years is really pushing it.
That's
so
him saying that he would like to be playing for 5 years. That depends on the selection.
Yeah, I don't see 5 years is a very long time at his age and to
he's got some serious, serious back problems, actually.
3 is good though, and 3 is enough because, and also, I think the other point that Chris made was, what's India doing? What's after Ashwin? Well, trust me, the team India is taking care of that because they are people in the pipeline. I mean, we may not hear of them yet, just like we haven't heard of Shreyas Iyer or whatever before he showed up. They are grooming the future, and they'll come from wherever. So 3 years is a very long time.
I don't know how they do it. I really don't know how they do it. There's so many people out there.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you do it? This
domestic
is
cricket
ridiculous.
should be recognized more. That's what I always have said. Domestic cricket should be recognized more because there's a lot of talent out there. I lot. And IPL has actually sort of bring it up there, pumped it up the next level, because otherwise we hardly see, Ranji Trophy and all that sort of domestic level sort of cricket. But that should be really recognized. And T20 has done that. That's why 20 overs format of cricket is, I think, it's really, really great.
Yeah, great points, guys. We've gone really well. So, okay, I'm saying that India will play much better. If they win the toss, they'll win. If they don't, they're going to find it hard, but they need to win. So I'm leaning on India winning. And you two ladies are obviously saying India are going to win.
Yes.
I want them to win, but I don't see them winning.
They may lose another one, but it won't be the next one. Maybe third or fourth. Yeah.
No, I think
it's going to be very hard for them to win 3-2.
No, they would. 3-2.
Okay.
It's very hard to lose 2 and then win the next 3.
It is
psychologically that's very hard. Yeah,
but that's
you need to
India.
mix it
They
up
always have. Look at Adelaide. I don't want to say it again.
No,
again,
you're right. You are
from
right.
36 all out.
Fair enough.
To
No,
but
that's the test. I mean,
no, but she's
the
right.
The amount of bruises, intimidation. They had no business of winning whatsoever, and that was unpredicted. I think that can happen, but they need that sort of mental pressure. They need that sort of because this is a very laid back, relaxed attitude that they've got right now. That's why I think this will be a 3-2.
I have to laugh. I shouldn't laugh, but the women's game between India and South Africa smacked India, then India smacked South Africa, and then the last match, South Africa smacked India.
Yeah.
It's gone from extremes.
Okay.
But an interesting series that is. Okay.
Thank you.
Vera, sorry?
Thank you.
Okay, so we've had a great session.
Well, I'm not coming tomorrow if India is not winning.
What's that?
If India is not winning, I'm not on tomorrow. Well, I said that they might not win, but because I really want them to win. Don't get me wrong.
I didn't watch the last game, and I didn't watch the first test either. So when I don't watch the game, they lose. So I'll make sure I watch it this time.
It's good you didn't watch it. It was easier on your soul.
All right, ladies, you've been fantastic. I really appreciate your time. Very detailed discussion, very intellectual discussion. Extremely impressive, both of you. You're only getting better and better, reaching heights that anyone would adore to listen to. Nothing but good comments. It's been sensational. Thank you very much. This is Norman Kochnik saying goodbye to Preity and Aparna. Preity Upala and Aparna Saini.
Comment on my platform is a Preity Conversation.
Of course. This is also being shared on Cricket Conversation with Aparna Saini as we speak. She's a great host. Her platform's going through the roof. It's only a testament to her way throughout the summer. We're all going to be involved, hopefully, in the IPL of COVID. But more importantly, the World Cups, the World Test Championships. Looking at 3 commentators, a great note, or 2 at least, and 1 okay, me, and we can go from there. Okay, so thanks again. So it's Cricket Conversations with Aparna Saini, the Eyes on Cricket platform of mine with Norman Kochnik, and it's going to be written down there. And look out for the merchandising. Look out for I need your artistic design, ladies, about the design of what we're going to be putting together, and also the so-called membership exclusives, the perks, where you hopefully will get a chance to meet each other. I want to arrange dinners in places around the country of India with those that are in that membership to turn up. Can you imagine all the members turning up to a dinner? That'd be fantastic.
I love it. And guys, please check out the Preity Experience on YouTube and find me the Preity Effect on Twitter as well. Please connect and join in the conversation.
That's the Preity Effect on Twitter.
Yes.
The Preity Experience on YouTube.
Yes.
Again, you ladies, please put in the comments, post the hookup, write them there, please, with your details as well, because they'll see the 2 sections. All right, guys, thanks. I'll be on again tomorrow night, same time, before the match and after. Okay? Thanks, guys.
Namaste.
See you later.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye. Wait.